Yeah, we're good. Cool. So, welcome to another episode of the I Am Tim Evans Show. I'm your host, Tim Evans, and this is where motivation meets momentum, right? And I have my good friend here, Amanda Goff,
Yes.
right? So, thank you
Yes.
for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
So, for you guys who don't know, Amanda is a artist, right? And you paint,
Yes.
right?
Paint
Okay.
and draw.
Paint and draw. Okay.
Mhm.
Sweet. So, we're just gonna dive right into it. So, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Okay. Born and raised in Charlottesville.
Okay.
Came down here to go to school at Longwood.
Mm-hmm.
Went to school. Graduated with a BFA in art history. I was actually the last graduating class of art history majors.
Okay.
They nixed the major after.
Cool.
And then.
Slide that up just a tad bit. But you
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Uh,
Then I moved to Richmond for a little while.
Okay.
Because I had always wanted to be a practicing artist.
Mhm.
And if you live in Virginia, Richmond's kind of
That would be the go-to, right?
exactly.
It's like an art hub, I would
Yeah,
say. It's a
yeah.
lot of artistic stuff.
Very
out there.
much so. But I mean, you have VCU, ICA, like the whole
Yeah.
gambit. So I was there for a little bit, moved back to Charlottesville, came back to Farmville,
Okay.
got my post-bac in mixed media, was one of like the working artists, the Longwood working artists, and then never left.
Okay. So art has always been something
Yes,
for you.
very much
Like
so.
always been a part of your life. Okay. So how about this then? So how did you get started in art, like originally? And what
Um,
inspired you to do so?
I'd always been a kind of creative kid.
Okay.
Left-handed, raging ADHD.
Yeah.
Like the STEM was never my forte.
Okay.
I took a culinary arts class in high school. Thought I was going to do that for a little while. I actually, so when I first came to Longwood, I was a criminal justice major.
Dang, that's completely different.
Yeah. Very. My plan was to go into the Coast Guard, like my father.
Okay.
Go into the reserves. And then I kind of had this like weird, like, I wanted this like liberating college experience.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I saw a poster that they were hiring for models for life drawing classes.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to like have this sort of, bodily autonomy kind
Okay.
of experience.
Yeah.
And I decided to do it. So I was a figure drawing model my freshman year. And when I walked into the building, I just had this like guttural
Mm-hmm.
reaction to it. Like, it was like a weird natural, like dopamine high, I
Yeah.
guess.
So you felt good walking
Oh
into
yeah,
this environment.
it
Yeah.
felt kind of like home,
Okay.
and I just
Yeah.
didn't know what that feeling was
So-
until that moment.
Okay, so you never had that feeling before
No,
with anything
no,
until
no.
you walk, or is it like I've had this feeling, but not to this height, like not to this
Yeah.
intensity,
Yeah,
whatever. Okay,
yeah.
I got you.
And then I just never left. I never left the arts building.
Okay,
I became a studio major and then an art history major, and
yeah.
the rest is history.
You know what though? I will say, I like to consider myself a creative person as well. I don't necessarily draw,
Mhm.
but from doing music, I don't even know if I ever told you that. Like,
No.
most definitely did music for like years.
Oh,
You know
nice.
what I'm saying? Yeah, which is why I guess podcasting and video stuff comes easy to me because
Mhm.
it's the same as making a song,
Okay.
right? Like the audio,
Okay.
the visual,
Yeah.
like putting it together, like
Yeah.
same thing. And then I actually use the same tactics in marketing, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, instead of making songs or trying to
Mhm.
promote songs, I'm promoting
Mhm.
workouts or whatever else it
Okay.
is that I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So I totally get that. But when I lived in Northern Virginia, I had a friend who was a photographer, and he was like always out in DC, but the environment was super cool. Like you
Mhm.
said, like liberating. It was freeing.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
man, I can, I can be a little weird. It's cool.
Yeah.
Or
And nobody cares.
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And I'm doing different things,
Mhm.
right? So I remember being in his coming to his apartment, and he had like a art studio set up in there. He was just telling me about like cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the first time I got like really introduced into like high level photography because he
Mhm.
was legit doing weddings, doing photo shoots, talking about the coloring, the wind, all this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and we went out to DC one night, like on a late night, and it was just a really cool environment. So I get what you're saying about being in that. It's like
Yeah.
freeing. It's like, man, I kind of want to
Yeah.
be in that,
Yeah.
like a
Richmond's
real
a lot
creative
like that.
space. I get it, and also because I did music, I always wanted to go to art school. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I said, man, I want to go to a performing arts school. I want to go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where they welcome and push your creativity, not somewhere
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, learn this, do that. And I
Yeah.
even said that for my kids too. I always wanted
Yeah.
them to be that way.
Being around that kind of creative energy, I mean, it's so
Yeah,
contagious.
for sure.
Like it's tangible.
No,
You
yeah,
can
yeah,
feel it.
right. No, I totally agree, and it's inspiring. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you want to you feed off
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
it makes you a better artist.
I could get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
Although,
much
like I said,
so.
although I don't draw or I'm not. I mean, I like photography. I don't go out taking pictures or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm really into art. Like I really like it, and I can appreciate it for what
Mm-hmm.
it is. You know. So all right. So let's go back to that. After you went in, you got that experience.
Mm-hmm.
You loved the feeling of it, and
Mm-hmm.
you just never left. And then from there, you were like, "This is what I'm doing."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you were already drawing before that, or
Yes, as a hobby,
okay,
never took it seriously as a career because I didn't really know it was an option.
okay, yeah, it makes sense.
You kind of grow up with get a job, start a 401k,
Yep,
buy a house,
yep.
get married,
The
have
traditional
kids.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I didn't really even consider that there was an alternative until I got older. And then I realized there are no rules.
yeah.
Like, really, like
That's true.
we make
We
them
make the rules.
up
Yep,
as we go.
100%.
So
I
I
say that all
just
the time.
decided to say, screw it. I'm going to give it a go because you get the one life.
Mhm.
And at the end of it, you're done.
Yeah. So how old would you say you were when you made that decision?
Um,
Not acted on it, but when you were like, because it's a
okay.
difference
Yeah,
between
no,
that.
it's very different. I mean, when I was younger, I had so much self doubt and imposter syndrome. I mean,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
still do. Like, but it was probably mid-20s, I would
Okay.
say, is when I decided that I wasn't going to pursue a traditional life.
Yeah. I got you. That makes sense. All right. So tell us a little bit about your creative process then. So now you're drawing, you're
Mm-hmm.
painting. Like, how do you find that inspiration for your pieces now? And like, what's the whole process from the concept to the finished piece?
So it depends on which medium I use.
Okay.
So I work with charcoal and I work with oil paint. Those are kind of my two loves.
Okay.
And as far as getting like inspiration for content, I use a lot of like source imagery. Um, it's
No, what's that? What's source imagery?
so like taking photographs,
Okay.
kind of putting them in Photoshop together to kind of create a
Oh, okay.
composition. It kind of goes into a different conversation also because what you want to create is
Hmm.
not always what someone wants to buy.
Okay. Yeah.
And so there's sort of I don't want to call it an unnecessary evil because it's not an evil, but you have to kind of cater.
Yeah. You got to cater to people if you're
So
doing it for a living.
exactly.
Yeah.
I used to be 100% idealist. And I
Okay.
was like, I have to be passionate about this. And,
Right.
you know, growing up, I realized that that's not always a smart move.
Yeah.
Um,
Meaning, like, whatever you come up with that you want to do, you only do that.
exactly.
I don't care what other people want.
Exactly.
Type mindset. Okay.
Exactly.
I guess that's probably just maturing as an artist, though. That's what I
Yes.
would think.
Yes.
Because
Well,
it's a process with anything.
I also realized I'd rather paint something that didn't necessarily like scratch my artistic itch
Okay.
rather than sit at a desk under fluorescent lighting
Yeah.
for 8 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
I can still sustain myself painting, I'd
Hmm.
rather paint something that doesn't necessarily like excite me.
You would rather paint something that doesn't excite you?
Yes, rather than have to go get a corporate job.
Oh, okay.
Like
I
if I
got you.
can
Yeah,
still
yeah.
make a
As
living
long as
at
I'm
it,
still doing what I
yeah,
love, although it's
exactly.
not. Okay, I got you.
I don't really
Yeah.
see it as a sacrifice anymore.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can see that
Hmm.
because you're still doing what you want to do. It's just
Exactly.
yeah.
So when I first started my career, I did mostly figurative work. I did lots of portraits of the elderly
Mm-hmm.
and like nude figurative work, the
Okay.
body, and I really tried to push that for a long time, and not a lot of people really buy that work
Right.
around here. I've talked to a few galleries who said, "Oh, sorry, nudes don't sell,"
Mm-hmm.
and I've switched gears a little bit, and so now I do mostly
Okay.
animal portraiture, still figurative work, just not
Yeah.
necessarily the same
I would
stuff I
imagine
was
that's a
doing.
big market though.
It
Like people
is,
love their animals,
yes,
and people love
very much so,
animals, and that's
and
a whole different like niche within
yes,
itself.
yes, and it doesn't mean I can't still do the stuff that I love. Not that I don't love painting animals because I
Right.
do, um, but now I just, you know, I've just broadened my scope,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So let's see. You will put images together,
Hmm.
or well, how do you find what? Because people love animals, right? So how do you
Yes.
decide what animal I'm gonna paint?
Um, that's more like intuitive.
Okay.
So it's I usually like to do very large scale work.
Hmm.
So I like to do larger animals as well. Like
Okay.
I do a lot of like elk, stag, bears, moose, um, elephants. I mean nothing's, you know, off limits,
Right.
but I tend to go for a more
The bigger animals.
dramatic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, do you do stuff like giraffes
I mean I'll do
or
anything that
anything?
anybody wants,
Okay.
really. Um, I my so my first mural actually that I did was at Press Club.
Okay. Yeah.
So the bear with the headphones
Uh huh.
blowing bubbles. The restaurant closed down for some renovations, and uh, I went up to Nash and I said, "Hey, this now's a perfect." We had been talking
Yeah.
about a mural. We didn't really know which direction we wanted to go, and I said,
Right.
"Let's do it now.
Let's do it.
Now's the perfect time." And I was really blessed that he kind of,
Let you do your thing.
yeah, he took a leap
Yeah.
of faith because I didn't even know how it was going to turn
So, but had you done large scale work before then, or murals before
out.
then?
No, that was my
No.
first mural
Okay.
ever.
Oh wow.
So it was my first time working with acrylic paint, to be other than in school,
Yeah.
but like house paint, and it was my first
Right.
mural ever.
So, how was that feeling like to have someone in that place, right? Because it's although you've worked there, right,
Hmm.
from the area, but realistically, it's a big deal, right? Like, hey, this well-known
Yeah,
restaurant in the
yeah.
area is allowing me to paint a
Hmm.
mural, like
Hmm.
doing what I love. Like, what's that? What was that feeling like?
Oh, I was. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure. Yeah,
I
do
was
your
scared
thing.
shitless.
No, yeah, for sure. Okay, I can
Oh,
imagine.
I mean, so we set up a sort of an aluminum walkboard, on two ladders,
Yeah.
and so I was up there for uh, probably 5 days, three to
Dang.
5 days.
Yeah.
And I mean, and if you look at an aluminum walkboard, it's only about like a foot and
Right.
a half,
Yeah. Don't
maybe.
slip.
Yeah, like don't step backwards
Right.
for sure. Um,
That would have fucked up the whole painting.
it would fuck me up.
Yeah. Like because yeah.
There would have been no more painting. Amanda would have
Yeah.
been dead
w-
because I was above this. You know the stairs that go up on the bar
To the
riser.
bar. Yeah.
Hmm. I was on.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Dang. That's cool though. That's
Hmm.
awesome that he let you do that. I'm not surprised that he let you do that. I mean, knowing who
Yeah.
he is, but he
I
also
mean,
saw your talent. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
So
yes. He and Mindy came to a show I had at Quirk in Richmond.
okay.
Oh gosh, that's like 6 years back now. Yeah, didn't sell a single painting, by the way. So if you're a struggling artist,
Yeah.
it
It
happens.
happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just let the failure happen.
Yeah.
It like the worst possible scenario
Mm-hmm.
is not. It doesn't end your career.
No. It makes you better.
Yes,
And it teaches you something out of it.
exactly.
Right? So, and also with the whole podcast, right? My whole thing is just about mindset. And that's what I
Hmm.
continuously preach to people is mindset. But
Hmm.
everything, even when it comes to the gym, it's all mindset. And it's all on perspective and how you look at things.
Hmm.
So we dictate how we let failures or shortcomings, if we even want to call them that, I don't even want to say it's a failure,
Yeah.
right? It's a
Yeah.
lesson learned.
Yeah.
But we determine how that affects us, right? We can
Mhm.
either say, hey, look, we took this, we learned from it,
Mhm.
it made us
Yeah.
better. It had to happen
Mhm.
for X, Y, and Z to happen. Or you can just be a Debbie Downer and be like,
Yeah.
man, I quit.
Yeah.
But quitting's not an option. So,
I mean, the one thing you do have control over is your reaction to a problem
for sure.
or an
Yeah.
obstacle.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's what I've tried to focus on here lately. I've been trying to put a lot of work into focusing on things I can control
Right.
and letting the stress of everything that I can't control just
For sure.
roll
Makes
roll
sense.
off.
Makes sense. So you did touch on this a little bit before about like imposter syndrome, self-doubt.
Yes.
How do you overcome like the creative blocks when those come? Because I'm sure those happen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm still struggling with that.
Yeah.
I'm opening up my first studio in probably a couple of months, and I still have an outrageous amount of imposter syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
I'm,
Like, can I do this? Is this?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never had a commercial lease before.
Oh yeah, true.
I mean, there's a lot of faith in knowing that the clients will come.
Yeah.
You know how to price your work
Right.
at what you think you're worth, but also at fair market value. It's an ongoing struggle. I'm not going to say I've even come close to overcoming it,
Right.
but I would say I rely most on my family.
Okay. For like a support system to
Yeah,
keep you going.
I'm really lucky that I have a family that pushes me to do,
Yeah.
you know, go out on my own and
Right.
and pursue this kind of career. And I rely on my faith a lot
Yeah. For sure.
during like times of doubt.
I don't think you can be an entrepreneur and not have faith.
Oh,
Right. Like
yeah.
that is the true test of faith.
I mean, that is essentially entrepreneurship and faith. I mean, are kind of parallel. They kind of go
yeah,
hand
for
in
sure.
hand.
I didn't think about that until
Mhm.
we jumped all the way in and was like, oh shit, we're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to
Yeah,
figure something
and
out.
you just have to know that you're capable of swimming to shore.
Yeah.
Like, I read something recently, and it said, anxiety is overestimating the problem and underestimating your ability to solve it.
Yeah.
And I keep that in my back pocket
Right.
all the time, because if you think about it, you've overcome every single thing that has happened.
Yeah. It's like it's a saying, you survived 100% of your worst days.
Exactly.
Right. So what are we worried about? Yeah. And I was actually just having this conversation. Again, big on mindset, big on power of manifestation, law of attraction, speaking things into existence. I was literally just talking to Trey about this because we have these conversations pretty much every day, but about going bigger, right? I'm like, man, we got to think bigger, right? I'm saying that all the time. He'll say something, I'm like, yeah, that's too small. We got to go bigger,
Yeah.
right? And again, everything that we said we wanted to do, we've been able to do. And I told him I had to take an inventory of my life, and like I found a notebook where I had written some things down. I'm like, I've accomplished all these things over a certain period of time, of course. But I'm like, what am I tripping on if I know that I've accomplished everything that I said I wanted to do, right? So now I got to go bigger. I know it can happen. So what am I worried about, right?
Yeah.
Like, so for you, you've sold paintings,
Yes.
right? You've painted murals.
Yes.
You're going to open up your own space. What are we worried about? I mean, I get it. I most definitely get the nervousness, but realistically, it's like, man, I've accomplished so much, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Why would I feel like I can't do this? I've done it before.
and I really think it's just fear of unknowns.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I mean, because I know I'm a capable person.
Right.
I've been able to develop the confidence in my skill set and my work and my ability to, maintain client relationships.
Yeah.
It's just the newness that
Yeah.
you have to kind of
And
get over.
a lot of times we will say that we're afraid of, well, we don't say we're afraid of failure. We don't say that, but that's just kind of implied as what you think. I think that a lot of times we're afraid of that level of success
Oh, absolutely.
because we don't know what that comes with. I know what it's like to be where I'm at
Mhm.
now, right? So
Mhm.
you can say I know what it's like to be an artist. I know what it's
Yep.
like to be a full-time artist. I don't know what it's like to be an artist that has my own space to hold my own shows. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of doing it, but I don't know. Like I don't know what it's gonna feel like when that happens.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
absolutely. I
I
think
know
about
what
that
it's
all the time.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like I know what it's like to not have. I know what it's like to not rely on myself for
Mhm.
just, income or whatever. I
Mhm.
don't know what it's like to only do that.
And your brain craves familiarity.
Makes
Like
sense. Yeah.
it just wants to protect you. So if you feel as though you're in control,
Hmm.
your brain's happy,
Right.
even if it's not what's best for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it craves like familiar patterns, even if they're toxic.
Yeah.
So it's breaking that
I
down.
know what I'm gonna
Yeah,
get out of this. I know what to expect.
exactly.
But I
I
don't know what to expect on that other side.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think too, that's why, most entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, some people would say are a little crazy or delusional, right?
Yeah.
Because you can see something that others can't,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when other entrepreneurs band together, they all get it because they're like, man, what are you talking about? Um, we, again, having this conversation with Trey, you might have been around a couple times when we had this conversation, but it's like things that we will worry about or be concerned about or trying to figure out. And then you'll have a conversation with someone that's successful and they're like, oh, yeah, that's just a part of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you guys are just like us. Like,
Yep.
you're just trying to figure it out too,
Yep.
you know?
Everybody is just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. But we often think that the things we go through or dealing with is only us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get afraid of it.
Exactly. Like somehow we're not as um, experienced or knowledgeable as somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
When that's not true.
Yeah.
At all.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's cool though to be surrounded by others,
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people, and then they
Mm-hmm.
give you that insight, and then you start thinking about it yourself, like, oh, all right, I can't do this.
Yeah. And that just goes to show you it's just mindset.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that switch kind of flips, the anxiety goes away, the
Yup.
stress goes away, your confidence levels rise, and all of a sudden you're doing. You're not just thinking
You're
and
doing. Yeah.
analyzing. You're actually
You're doing
taking
it.
actions
Right.
towards your end goal
Yeah.
happily and excitedly.
And this is how I've always overcome. I don't want to say fear, but I'll say nervousness. I was literally just having this conversation with my son about a basketball game, and he was nervous. He was like, "Yeah, I'm a little nervous," and I was like, "That's normal." And I said, "But for me, whenever I'm in a space and I'm nervous, I always think about, am I not gonna do whatever it is that I'm doing? Like,
Hmm.
no, I'm not gonna not do it.
Yeah.
So I might as well get over it.
Yeah.
This is how I look at it,
You're
right?
gonna do it
So
anyway.
I'm gonna do it anyway,
Yeah.
scared or not. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it. So what am I afraid of? I might as well just get
Hmm.
over that nervousness or being scared, you
Hmm.
know. But I think that goes with anything that
I
we're gonna
agree.
do.
I agree.
Cool, sweet man. So now you're at a point of doing it on your own and turning your passion into like profit, turning your passion into a paycheck,
Yes.
so to speak. So how does the pricing and you may be still figuring this out because you kind of touched on it,
I
but how does the like pricing and marketing work when it comes to you know
It
art industry?
see that really depends. Value in the art world. I don't want to call it arbitrary,
Mm-hmm.
but it. I mean, value is what someone will pay for something,
True.
and you have to figure out what your ideal buyer is,
Okay.
what kind of clientele you want, what
Mm-hmm.
your work is worth, um, where you are in your career. I would say, and I can only speak for myself,
Right.
but I think that most artists would say that pricing is the hardest thing
Right.
to do when trying to build an art career, figuring out that sweet spot because you don't want to undervalue yourself,
Right.
um, but you also don't want to, price
Do too
yourself
too
out of
much.
the
Yeah.
market.
Right.
So I have a formula right now, and that's what I use sort of a calculation.
Okay.
Some artists see how much time they spent,
Hmm.
get, material costs. Um, to me, having a calculation is very transparent.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, this amount of money per square inch kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I'm not going to say that's what I'm going to do forever. It's what I feel comfortable with doing right now.
Hmm.
Uh, but
But then you would have to also like factor in your skill for being
oh,
able to do so. Like, you know what I mean?
exactly. I mean, you need to factor in the 10 years you spent developing the
Right. Yeah.
craft.
Yeah. Because I'm like,
Uh,
I can't do it. I can't charge per square whatever if
exactly.
I can't paint like that. You know.
Exactly. So it's still very much a work in progress.
Yeah. Probably always will be though. Is what I
Yeah.
think. You know,
Yeah.
because you're gonna continue to elevate. You're gonna continue to get better.
Mhm.
You're gonna continue to have a higher quality of clientele that you want to
Mhm.
go towards.
It's also demand too.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where you're busy and you don't have time to take on commissions or do
Right.
shows and that demand is growing, then you can
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
to increase your price.
That makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah. So, now, do you charge on like specialty too? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I do
Yeah.
this, so I can charge more. Or maybe not you, but just in the art
S-
industry in general.
Sometimes people will have like a commission fee.
Okay.
So they'll do their own work that they'll sell. But if you
Hmm.
want to commission something specific and they, paint a specific image for you,
Okay.
there's a fee
Fee
on
on
top
top
of
of that.
that
Okay,
for
I
doing
got you.
something custom.
Yeah.
But again, it's all, um, there are no rules
Yeah. No
in
rules.
the art
No.
world.
Have you had many people or any that comes to you and say, "Hey, look, I love your work. I want this type of, a
Yeah.
specialty commission
Yeah.
or whatever."
I I get a lot of pet portraits,
Okay.
which I love. I love doing pet portraits. Some family portraiture. I do get the occasional, like, will you paint my boat? Or will you,
Okay.
but I have to tell them that it would look like a kindergartner. I can't do, but I can't do, like landscapes are not my thing.
Okay.
Buildings, any kind of like
Yeah.
cityscapes,
Yeah.
any like
Look,
cars,
you got to know
objects,
yourself.
nothing. Still life, no.
Yeah, you got to know yourself.
I actually still to this day think about when I was in school and we would hold critiques at like mid
Hmm.
semester, and we were doing still lifes, and mine came in last place.
Well, at least you know that that's not your thing,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. So
for sure.
you're not even gonna try. It's like I'm not even gonna attempt to do
Yeah,
this and sell it because that's not.
and
It's not for
that's
me.
almost even more important is being able to say no
Yeah.
rather than taking on something just because.
You want the money for that monetary
Yes.
value. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That I think is where the real freedom starts to come when you're able to say, "Oh no, I don't do this kind of work.
Right.
Let me refer you to, I
X,
had
Y, and Z.
someone, I had a designer reach out to me and say, "Hey, I have a client who wants, wants a pastel portrait of
Hmm.
one of their children." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I would love to do that. I don't think my skill set is
Yeah.
the right fit for this client."
Hmm.
There's an artist in Freshman. Her name's Christy Talbot, I believe. She does beautiful, beautiful pastel portraits of children, and gave them
Yeah.
her name.
Right.
And
That's kudos to you for doing that, right? Because I think some people don't do that.
yeah,
Well, I don't know much about art, but I would assume that there are people who are like,
yeah,
I'm not passing along any work to anybody. I
mm-hmm,
want to hold it all for myself. And if I can't do it, then I'm gonna say no. I don't know anyone,
yeah.
right? Because I don't want one artist to be better than me or make
I'm
more
yeah,
than
I'm
me.
sure that
Yeah,
exists out there. I mean, it's a shame, honestly, uh, because I would never want to. I would never want to take away
yeah, from somebody else,
from someone else, especially when I wouldn't do it as well.
right? Yeah.
You
Why?
know?
I'm helping someone else,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that's also, why probably you have great opportunities come up because you're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like you're not
Mm-hmm.
gatekeeping
Mm-hmm.
or holding someone else back
Yeah. Well, one thing I
for
will
yourself.
say with my experience in the art world, artists are a lot more community driven than they are competitive. If
Okay.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, for
Like
sure.
in my experience anyway, I've been embraced wholeheartedly by all
All
of
the
my
artists.
peers.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
awesome.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a great community to be in. I was thinking actually in starting the studio, I was talking to someone the other day about an artist like collaborative sort of
Yeah.
space,
Okay.
if you will, where people could come and just do work like a makerspace. So
Yeah.
in the, I don't know what's going to go on with the
Like where you
studio
could
quite
host
yet.
classes, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Like
just
those
a
paint
place
and
for
sip type
artists to
things?
meet. It could, yeah, but more for like a um, less,
Serious
yeah,
artists.
less,
Yeah.
hobby, more
Right.
kind of
I got you.
driven work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a space for people who are real creatives,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
for example, like with me with this, I would say this is called the Creators Corner,
Mm-hmm.
right? So anyone who wants to have a podcast, you can come in and record your
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
right? So for you, anyone that's an actual artist and wants to, work on your craft or
Mm-hmm.
do some work and you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
space, this is here for you to, yeah.
Exactly. And just to have kind of that the energy we were talking about,
Hmm.
being with creative people in a space
Right.
and being able to kind of feed off each other and, critique each other's work and
Yeah.
just have that kind of artistic camaraderie.
No, yeah, it makes sense. It would be like a bunch of artists or musicians having a jam session.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
let's get together and we just
Yeah,
gonna rock out and have fun and
exactly.
do our
And
thing.
do, quarterly group shows, bring some more original artwork to Farmville.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can go wrong with just
Yeah.
having more and more original artwork.
Right. Now, uh, if you can answer this, right?
Mm.
I know a few different artists or
Mm-hmm.
people who are artists,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are there many that do it on the scale that you're like? Are there many independent? I don't. I guess the independent wouldn't be the word, but solely artists. Like this is how I make my living.
I would say no.
Okay.
Now I don't know that for sure.
Right.
I have been in the hospitality industry along with practicing art
Okay.
pretty much my entire life. This is the
Right.
first time I've ever been able to stand on my own
Yeah.
feet and just solely,
Hmm.
be a practicing artist. And it's really hard.
Or you know what? I guess a better question. Do you know any other artists in the area that actually sell their art? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't personally know any
I
that I know of,
I don't
unless they do it
either.
and I just don't know. But you're like the only person I know
Mm-hmm.
that you know. I've seen your artwork at auctions.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that you get the commissions and you ship them out and stuff like that. I don't know anyone else, so I'm wondering if there's like an actual art community here, or you would be the first person kind of putting that together.
I think there's always been an art community here. It's just been
Okay,
small and kind of, um,
under the radar, kind of.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But I know there's plenty of artistic people
yeah,
in Farmville.
for sure.
But I don't know how many are pursuing it as a
As a
career.
career,
Hmm.
yeah. No, true. Okay, yeah, because I know plenty of people who like are really good at what they do. As
Hmm.
far as art goes, but I just don't know the scale of it. And I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of I'm not gonna say that's my fault, but I kind of just do my own thing and just
I get tunnel vision too,
yeah,
badly. I like if I don't focus 99% on what needs to be done,
right.
I'm I get
Gonna go somewhere else, get
yep,
sidetracked.
yep.
All right. So now, knowing that you do like animals,
Hmm.
things like that, do you put emotion into your art, or is that doing
I
something
try
else?
to.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm being successful, I am.
Yeah.
If the image I've kind of have in my head, if I'm able to translate that well onto canvas,
Okay.
my goal is to draw some kind of emotional response.
Hmm.
Um, when I was doing portraiture and more figurative work, I liked to do more honest representations of the female body.
Okay.
That was always sort of something I liked to explore.
Right.
When I was the working artist at Longwood, my project was actually on female reproductive health,
Okay.
and I did for large scale mixed media portraits, self portraits actually, of myself. I was diagnosed with endometriosis
Hmm.
back in 2020, had a pretty major pelvic surgery.
Right.
And I wanted to explore the idea of, femininity and how reproductive health sort of affects feminine identity
Right.
as a woman. And that was a really enjoyable experience for me as an artist to
Right.
be
So
able to.
you were painting
So
women.
I was painting myself. So
Okay.
it was large scale self portraits,
Right.
and I would screen print other representations of women throughout history by
Okay.
other artists.
Gotcha.
So kind of the ideal
Hmm.
um, versus the
The
real.
real.
The
Yeah,
real.
yeah. I
Yeah.
got you. Okay.
And that was a completely different kind of artistic experience
Yeah.
than doing something residential, commercial,
Right.
design oriented.
Right.
And I would say if I could do more stuff like that,
Hmm.
I would.
Right. Is it
Um,
because it's more emotion tied to that type of thing?
exactly.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
And, I understand you can't do that kind of stuff all the time. It's
Yeah.
more academic. Nobody's gonna, I mean, I had pictures, I reached out to UVA and they sent me pictures of my surgery sort of
Hmm.
inside the procedure, and I had that up as well. So it was a
Okay.
little bit more graphic. No one's hanging that on their
Yeah,
living
yeah,
room
yeah,
wall.
for sure.
So it's a
Somebody
balance.
may.
That
Let's
is
just be
true.
honest.
That is
Somebody
true.
might.
That is true.
Yeah.
Nobody in Virginia is
Yeah.
hanging that on the wall.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So would you say like the goal would be to, I don't want to say be so well off like you're only doing it for money, because I know it's love in it,
Hmm.
but to, you know, be in a very good position to where now you can do things that you really do have emotional ties to.
Yes, I do like one for them, one for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of. I like to make sure I have that
That keeps the fun in it and the
balance.
love in it, I would imagine.
Exactly. And that's why I'm really excited about starting my studio. Right now, I am painting in my dining room. So I took out my dining room table.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And I have, my easels set up and all of my paintings, but I live in a little cottage that's maybe 600 square feet total.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of room in there.
But, right, so with just what I know, that's, and what I hear, that's like the real life, like artist life.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
That's
we
what I've,
romanticize it too, for sure. The whole like starving artist
yeah, yeah,
trope. We like to say we hate it. We don't. It's
right.
We romanticize it a
Yeah,
little bit
because that's where you get that,
struggle.
yeah, and that's where you get the inspiration from, I feel
Mhm.
like, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I most definitely can get that and understand that. Plus, it's not like, most times I hear that it's just you in that space, or you and a significant other in that space. It's not like a whole, not saying you in person
Mhm.
in general, but just when I hear people talk about this, it's not like it's a whole family living that struggle artist life.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a husband, wife, and kids in that space. It's normally like a
Yeah.
wife, I mean a
Mhm.
guy or a female, or them together, like in a relationship, but in that environment. Like, man, I'm in a 1 bedroom studio,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just go and do my thing, and I get inspiration from X, Y, and Z or whatever.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. But that's loved, is what you're saying. Like, artists really love that intimate
I think so. I mean, I
environment.
can't speak for everybody,
Yeah.
but I do.
I mean, I get, because it allows you to lock in into what you're doing.
And I'm a private painter. I don't
Okay.
like to like have people like watching over my shoulder.
Right.
So to be able to kind of shut the world out
Mm-hmm.
and not think and just kind of do,
Right.
it's therapy. To
Okay.
be honest, to be completely honest, it's a form of
Yeah.
therapy.
Now, which would you prefer? A space like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we are in this type of area,
Mm-hmm.
or a space like that in a city?
oh, here, I can't do cities.
Okay.
As much as it might actually be beneficial for my career to be in the city,
Yeah.
I need land, I need trees, I need air. I don't want to
Okay.
be around a bunch of
But
people.
I mean, I'm saying not just living wise. I mean, like creative process wise. Like,
Yeah.
fourth floor
Oh, like a big
studio
old,
space. Like, yeah,
loft
like
style.
yeah, yeah,
Ugh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that'd
Right,
be
right,
real nice.
right.
I would like that a lot.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
would. I would.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about living. I mean, just like creative process in that. What area would you prefer? Like country, like it is now, or city, like that?
Um,
Well, I guess you could have both, right?
yeah,
Because you could be in the middle of Farmville in a loft, and it would be the same
that's
thing as a
true.
city vibe.
And I need balance.
Yeah,
I kind of like to have a little
a little
both.
both. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I agree with you on that. I would rather live in the country, but can go to the city to have fun and come back to
Yes.
the quietness.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Very
most
much so.
definitely would prefer that. Cool. So I know you talked about your self doubt, the
Mm-hmm.
pricing. What are some other struggles that you may have faced when it came to the art industry,
Um,
or the biggest?
the biggest struggle.
Yeah.
Um, I think the biggest struggle is the self doubt,
Okay.
but another one that is pretty comparable is um, it's the networking.
Mm,
The art world is a lot more about who you know
yeah.
and getting into the right spaces and developing the right relationships than it is about the merit of the work.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I've learned anyway.
I feel like that's with
Pretty much anything.
everything,
Yeah.
though, for the most part.
Yeah. And some of it can
The
seem so
networking.
disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I've never been very good at the, you know, rubbing
Rubbing elbows.
elbows
Yeah.
and having to kind of plug yourself
Right.
and sell yourself, and because that kind of goes against who artists are, because
Yeah.
we want to focus on, the real, the
Right.
genuine.
Well, and I guess that's why some artists have agents or managers, right? So then they
Mm-hmm.
can handle that whole
Mm-hmm.
aspect of networking, and it's like you can just focus on the art while this person
Exactly.
focuses on building those connections and
Exactly.
stuff. Now, this may be a mindset thing, but I also feel like um, with any relationship, we have to be able to use each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever looked at it like that, but it's like, hey, look, everything's transactional, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we can be best of friends, but it has to be beneficial for us in some type of way. Whether
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you some type of advice
Mm-hmm.
often,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the energy that I get when I'm around you, or you can put me in a position to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I feel like that makes a difference in
Yeah,
it.
it does. And sometimes, people really do just want to help you.
Yeah, right,
And, there is that aspect too. It's not necessarily all about status. There's definitely some of that.
hmm,
But then there is also just developing genuine connections with people
yeah,
who, it becomes mutually beneficial,
right, right.
you know?
Well, and see, having that is what I mean by when I say we were talking about it feels a little disingenuous
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. So it's like, well, when I have the mindset of, okay, well, I'm going in here to meet people to help me move forward and
Mm-hmm.
see how I can help them move forward. I don't necessarily have to like
Yeah.
what you do all the way,
Yeah.
but we can both kind of get where we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
go off of this
Yeah.
connection.
You're exactly right. It is really all about mindset. It's all about how you go into an interaction with someone.
Right,
Because if you go in to an interaction saying, I do generally want to help you,
right,
or I want us to work together to help each other, then it doesn't have to be
right.
fake.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I think my mindset had kind of shift to that anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't go into meeting someone expecting me, right?
Yeah.
Because we often
Yeah.
do that. We
We
expect
we do it
ourselves from
so,
other people, and it's like
and then
that's
we get
not.
disappointed.
Then we get disappointed, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't even know you I haven't known you long enough to even know
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about anything.
Yep.
How can I be upset at, you know, your thoughts or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. But last question I got for you before we
Okay.
wrap this up. As far as your art goes, what would you like it to represent and the message that you hope to like leave behind when it comes to this? If you've even thought
Ooh,
about that.
that's a good question. Um, I At the end of the day, when I'm old,
Hmm.
and I've had my career, I I hope I will have sent a message to other women, um, that helps them love themselves. That's
Okay.
really my goal. Um, to be able to show, like, just the real experience of womanhood through imagery, to have something to relate to let them
Okay.
know that it's, you know we're all experiencing kind of the same thing, if that makes
No,
sense.
yeah, 100%.
I mean, right now, I will always love to do animals.
Hmm.
I'll love to bring that joy to someone, to have that in their home.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you get down in here,
Hmm.
um, womanhood is my
Okay.
that's my go-to
Empowering
message.
women through art. Huh?
Mhm. Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about. Empowering others,
Yeah.
showing other people that
Absolutely.
things are possible, that you can do whatever you put your mind to,
Mhm.
um, and whatever else. I can't speak on womanhood because I know nothing
Mhm.
of it. I have one, but I don't know
Yeah.
anything about
Mhm.
about that. But
You get
that's
to
amazing.
witness her experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But it's going to be different because I can witness that, but the conversation you may have with her and that connection is going to be different
Yeah.
because it's stuff that I can't even
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to understand for the
Yep.
most part. You know,
Mhm.
just being transparent and being honest with
Yeah.
it. Like, how would I be able to know what it's like to be a woman?
Yeah. You
I would
can
not.
listen, and you can try to
Right,
understand, and you can, you know, be supportive,
right. But it's going to be
but
completely different.
yeah, the lived experience is
Okay.
something that's unique. I mean, just as like the male experience is unique to you, I would
Yeah.
never
Right.
be able
Exactly.
to understand the the struggles and the pressures and the,
For sure. For sure. Totally agree with you on that. All right. So before we get out of here,
Mhm.
since we're talking about empowering women,
Mhm.
right, and leaving a legacy empowering women, what is one thing you want to tell women before we get out of here?
Oh gosh,
One
that's a
thing.
loaded question.
One thing. Whatever it is, but first thing come to your
Okay,
mind.
can I have like a second to like
Do your thing.
stew?
Yeah. Stew in that. Whatever
What
you got to do.
message do I want to send women?
Uh huh.
Um, Gosh. Hmm.
Words of advice or encouragement.
Um, hmm. I guess I would say, as hard as it can be sometimes, um, I want women to love their bodies and what their bodies, you know, have endured and gotten them through, whether it's having children or, uh, you know, whether it's reproductive disorder, whether, it's just life,
Hmm.
or societal pressure to look a certain way or certain beauty standards. I I really want I really want women to love themselves.
Love themselves.
Hmm.
That's key.
Hmm.
That is
I
very
mean,
true.
I can say I want them to all day long,
Right.
but I think it's, you know helping. Oh gosh, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It doesn't do a lot to say I want women to love themselves, right?
Right.
That doesn't help them get there.
Right. 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 Okay. I get what you're saying. I see what you're
Right?
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would want to be able to actually like
Give them a blueprint on how to love themselves. Is that what you're saying?
no, just be able to have a conversation
Okay.
to
Yeah.
sort of encourage that dialogue to get the insecurities out in the open
Okay.
to you know to give them a sense of community
Yeah.
to be able to express these things and kind
Okay.
of delve into you know how to love themselves even more.
Awesome. That's
Hmm.
great. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap this up. I most definitely appreciate you coming on and talking about your art.
Thanks.
I'm
I've
gonna
enjoyed
most
being
definitely
here.
have you come back,
Okay.
and we're gonna talk about how women can love themselves
Yeah. Oh, I'd love
and
to.
do all that. Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
love
yeah.
to.
So then we can have a whole nother segment on it.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Well, I
I'm here
appreciate your
for it.
time. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen for
Okay.
sure.
Oh, and I'm gonna prepare for it too.
Yeah, we're gonna make
For
sure we get it all together.
it.
So then that way we have all the questions, answers, and all that
Yeah.
together. We
Yeah.
can just fire it off.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank
And
you.
oh yeah, where can people follow you at on social media if you even have?
Yes. So I've got Instagram, website that needs a lot of work. So don't judge me too harshly on the website. My Instagram is probably the best place.
Okay, what's the handle?
It's my last name, Gough, Gough.
Okay,
Period. Art.
okay,
Oh,
that's okay.
hold
Because
on.
what I'll do is
I don't think I said the right one.
that's
I'm
all
a
good,
I'm a terrible millennial. I don't even know my own Instagram handle. Hold
and
on.
I'll put it in the description too. So it's all good.
Okay. Ooh, yep, I said it wrong. It's at a Gough, period, art.
Okay, a golf period art, and
Yep.
that's Instagram.
Hmm.
Now, do you do TikTok or anything like that at all? As far as your artwork?
Not yet.
No, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
going to when I get into the studio.
Got it.
Got the ring light.
Yeah.
But recording myself painting is such a I
Yeah,
hate
you
it.
figured that
I
out.
hate
Yeah.
it. So, but I gotta.
It's gonna
I
be
just
good though.
gotta
You're gonna
figure
figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
There's gonna be some good stuff. Okay, cool. Website. Well, that's not up yet.
It's no, not really.
No.
I need to do some finishing touches
Okay,
before
so
I
make sure you
push
guys
it out
follow
there.
her on Instagram, agolf.art. All right, and I'm
Yep.
gonna put it in the description, and be on the lookout for her art studio coming soon. What's the name of it, by the way? Do you have a name for the art studio?
It'll just be Amanda Gough Fine Art.
Okay,
It's just my name.
nice.
Couldn't think of anything clever.
Hey, you are your own brand, my friend. So
Exactly.
that's gonna be awesome. All right, well, until next time, guys. Peace out.